Hey, welcome to the after show. I got really something really nerdy to show off. So y'all know what poodle skirts are, right? Like in the 50s, they had like big skirts with poodle appliques.
Yeah.
So I made this.
Oh,
Like
that's cool.
Oh, cool.
freaking
That's awesome.
That's totally awesome.
Epoch.
Am I
So
not-
cute.
Epoch.
Am I not nerdy enough for this? Am I
It's the
missing something?
Epoch. It's the
It's the
ship that we
ship.
just
It's the
got.
ship we literally just started flying.
Yeah, okay, sorry, yeah.
It's alright. It's
Yes.
one in the morning there, so
Yeah.
you're forgiven.
But anyway, hi. We just so we met Shala this episode.
Incredibly
We did.
important character.
Yeah, there was some cool development that went on these last couple episodes for sure.
And also G-word.
And G-word.
And also
Isn't it?
G-word. And a giant penis.
and a giant G-word.
No, it was good. I mean, normally I'm pretty good at following narratives, even time travel-y stuff, but I'm like, I don't know if it's just the color palette and my color blindness just then mixing with my brain and scrambling everything, but I'm like, okay, I think I know where we are. I think I know what's happening.
I imagine that would be pretty difficult with,
I will
colorblindness.
I will say this story is getting quite interesting.
It's
it wasn't
intense.
interesting in the first, but now I'm like, okay, I want to know what happens next. I want to see where this is going and all this stuff.
Haven't seen anything yet.
I'm sure I haven't. The arcs that these kind of games go through.
Yeah.
Because I remember
Yeah,
playing Tale. Go on, sorry.
So the whole thing with Azla and her entire race dying out and the red star falling from the sky, that was the point when child me was like, in not so child terms, oh shit, this is kind of really good. I mean, as I mentioned before, I was thoroughly enjoying the game before then, but it was like that point where I was like, this is different, as much as like a 7 or 8-year-old child could think from all of the media she's consumed by that age. But it's just like, this is special. And then you get to Zeal and the music.
Yeah. And it keeps kind of one-upping itself, and it keeps, yeah. I mean, it's really cool when there's games that do that, and it's eye-opening for me to see that they did this in a game that is this much older than like you see it in newer games and stuff like that. Like Clair Obscur does that big time. Like just keeps doubling down on itself and ramping up and changing things to like, holy crap, this is why this game is talked about. Both, I'm talking about Chrono Trigger and Clair Obscur as like they're being kind of compared in certain circles, as well as just being really kind of revolutionary for the genre.
Yeah, like there's a lot of games that kind of teach you everything you need to know early on, and there's maybe a few developments and additions and stuff, but they kind of teach you it and go, this is how it plays, and that's how it's going to play for the next 60 hours. And I mean, and with the case of like Clair Obscur, like it keeps introducing new mechanics, and with the case of this, it keeps taking Chrono Trigger, it keeps taking the story in a different direction where you're like, oh, I didn't see that coming. Oh, I didn't expect to go to this place. Oh, I didn't expect all this to be happening.
Yeah.
I think it's
Yeah,
also
it's
important
really cool.
to like stories like that where it's also like it doesn't seem like they're just doing it to like add on to itself or like one up itself. Like it's like it makes sense in the world for the story. It's not just like there's shows and movies where it's like they just do something like big and grandiose just to do it because they're like, well, we have to like raise the stakes. But yeah, I feel like
AKA
I
the Star
haven't
Wars
finished
sequels.
Clair Obscur. But yeah, I feel like both of these things, even though I haven't finished either of the games that we're talking about, but I feel like they both I feel like they both do that from what I've seen.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, absolutely.
In
it makes
many
sense,
ways,
like, stood the test of time.
Yeah,
ahead.
and I mean, I think in many ways it's an apt comparison, those two games specifically, because I think there was, I don't think the team behind Clair Obscur Sandfall has been particularly shy in the fact that like Clair Obscur is a love letter to the classic JRPG. Like they wished, I got the sense that they almost wished there were more games like the old Final Fantasy games, like Chrono Trigger, that carried on that tradition, and I think they felt like there was something lost, especially because like the guys at the head of the studio are ex Ubisoft devs, and I mean I love a lot of Ubisoft games. Don't
Same
get me
here.
wrong, and Ubisoft hire me, but there are some instances where like the corporatization of it has started to impact like it has across the industry. Whereas these guys were like, we want to make, because they were doing like they were working on some mobile game or something, and the story there just wasn't much of one, and they were just feeling a little bit creatively bankrupt, just because. And I don't think it's anything wrong inherently with what Ubisoft was doing or with that game in particular. Just for them, they were not. It wasn't the right fit. And they
Yeah.
wanted more games that harkened back to the imagination and unbridled creativity that a game like Chrono Trigger has.
Right.
And you just, I think we're starting to see that more and more. I think like
Shifting.
I'm optimistic personally. I choose to be optimistic about the state of the games industry. Not to say that there isn't a metric ton of shit, and like
Hmm.
we've been hit by so many layoffs and everything over the past few years and stuff like that. It's been a rough go, but like especially now, it is interesting that we're playing Chrono Trigger right around the time that Clair Obscur has just come out, because it feels like we're harkening back to that time of greater artistry and creativity in our games.
Yeah,
Well,
and that's
It all started with Baldur's Gate 3.
Yeah,
that
100%.
that thing was a massive shift for everything.
Even some other, I think you could go back even a little bit further with some indie titles. Like it's been a slow burn, but like I watched a thing recently that was looking back at things like Shovel Knight, or Stardew Valley, some of these super small games that have started to like creep in and take over the world a little bit. And then like it's the indie studios that are kind of putting the big, AAA publishers to shame a lot of the time, not just in terms of their business practices or the whatever, but just in terms of like making games that people actually want to buy and play.
Yeah, I mean, I
innovative
feel like I
stuff
saw
coming.
something. Sorry.
No,
I
you're
feel like
fine.
I saw something.
Oh, go on.
Okay, sorry. Really, I feel like I saw something recently, and I didn't like look into it of like how true it was, but it was some sort of like article that was saying like for example how BioWare is owned by EA, and this is just what I read, that something about like EA execs were like, oh yeah, these nerds will buy whatever slop we throw at them. And that's why I think indie games are doing so well, because they actually like have like put care into their games.
Love.
And some of these like some
And
of
they don't
these
have
like
anybody
bigger
they have to
studios,
satisfy.
right, exactly, like these other studios like have to kind of do what they're told by the companies that own them.
Yeah, there's
What
a
were you
better
gonna say,
balance
Lawrence?
of art. Well, I was just going to say with that, there's better balance of artistry with like financial in financial in not just
Depend.
investment but return and all that stuff. Like obviously they want to make money, but like there's a better appreciation and value to that the art form, because companies like making these games like this are aware that it's the art that sells and the experience that sells, really. Like whereas you get another flip side where it's like another game studio might put millions of microtransactions into something because that's how they want to make their money, but ultimately the game tends to be much more forgettable or bland or repetitive, or it doesn't keep you hooked as much, it's not as developed, and all that stuff. Like, because I love a lot of these kind of games, I'm not going to name anything in particular, but I love a lot of games like that, but ultimately after a while it does get to a burnout, and it's not like just I might need to put this down. It's like this is getting ridiculous. I'm doing the exact same thing over and over again, and it's not like the experience, the immersion, the fantasy, the escapism of it starts to wear off because it starts to be more of a chore than something that's actually got you gripped. Whereas something with a good story and engaging gameplay that also goes, hey, here's something you didn't expect. Here's something new. Here's and that's, be it in the story or the gameplay, much more compelling and gripping. But I was I can't remember exactly what I was going to say now beforehand, so it's not that important. But it's just that kind of thing where there's more of a desire for the product to actually be good. Oh, that was what I was going to say. I was going to say, because even before Baldur's Gate, there's a lot of other indie titles. Like we had Phasmophobia blew up. Before that, we had Among Us blew up, and that was part COVID. And I know Among Us isn't exactly about the movie thing, but I know Among Us isn't exactly, let's say, the biggest artistic thing ever. But like it that wasn't the point of it. It was the way it was able to engage communities and friend groups and all sorts of things, like
especially during COVID
in a very tough time. And because again, it was about the game. It was about the game with Among Us. It was about the game with Phasmophobia. It was about the game with Baldur's Gate. It was about the experience you're giving people, not just how you could squeeze money out of people.
And just
think
show
about how
them
that
you
even
appreciate them.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Giving them those little rewards, and not being made to feel like you're being nickeled and dimed every single time some stupid little thing comes out. Because back when Chrono Trigger was first out and around on the SNES, there wasn't anything that you had to pay for. There weren't microtransactions and shit like that. Like if you found something in the game, it was in the game. Like if you like Street Fighter, like costume changes, like the colors and stuff. Now you didn't have to pay for any of that shit. Now you have to pay for these cosmetic fucking things, and it's just this, I don't know. I could go on a rant about that.
Think about the amount of PS2 games and like even early Xbox 360, PS3 games, the earlier ones especially. But I mean, fuck it. No, I'm going to name one. Halo Reach. All the gear in that game, pretty much, except for a pre-order bonus, I think, or a or like the really really big legendary edition. That was what it was called. All those things you could customize your spot, and endless customizations. It felt like options, and you didn't have to spend a real piece of money on it. You bought the game and you played the game, and then you got what you want. You unlocked it. And older games like, I don't know, God of War, I'm pretty sure had like outfit swaps, for example, the older God of Wars. And that shit wasn't, you bought it, you just played the game and unlocked it, and
think about it. I mean, think about it even within our artistic endeavor that we all share in terms of being voice actors, right? How often do we talk about, like, there's a difference between something feeling read and something feeling authentic, right? Like, where it's just anybody can read words off a page, but to be a real storyteller, you have to be more invested, right? You're bringing life, you're bringing authenticity, you're bringing truth in the imaginary circumstance, right? And it's whenever you put that level of care and pour that much of yourself into your craft, that is what establishes connections with people. That's how we connect as human beings. When you remove that aspect of it, which is the heart of artistry, then it's not going to connect to the same extent.
In terms of like live service games that I adore these days, I mean, obviously, Final Fantasy 14. I currently have my little Starbird. And Helldivers 2. Helldivers 2 is fucking sick. Because it has microtransactions, but the in-game currency you can earn in-game by just looking for it.
Yeah. Exactly.
And they give you all the new enemies and location stuff for free.
It's all free.
Like, you have to pay for that stuff. So
I think another one which did something similar. I'm pretty sure Warhammer 40k Space Marine 2 is a bit similar. It wasn't necessarily as much as Thingy, but like, I'm sure they've been adding new things to that as well a little bit.
They have. And, And that's a
yeah,
great
like new
game.
missions and operations, and I was playing that a bit recently, and it gave me that vibe. And it's the same as Helldivers. It was like, oh, it feels like I'm playing an Xbox 360 co-op game again. It feels like I'm playing the era of Halo ODST when we just had firefight
Yeah.
going on, and you just jumped in, pulled out your guns, and started shooting aliens and shit. And and like
Yeah.
I miss like not a lot of games seem to capture that these days. It's like, oh, you got to grind for the gear, or or pay us money, or and yeah,
Shortcut.
like
and all
And
that.
I'm not
Exactly.
writing off everything from the big publishers
yeah, of
either,
course
right?
not.
And it's
No, of
like
course not.
they've made some mistakes along the way, but like I play the shit out of Rainbow Six Siege still.
I love Rainbow Six Siege.
Yeah, great game. Ubisoft, literally the developer I was talking about a minute ago, right? So it's not to say it's a total write-off, but even Siege had to make some mistakes. It had some moments with its progression and with its microtransactions that it just fell flat on its face, and you could see that in the player base and the player count. And then they've course corrected, they righted the ship, and the game's great. I'm really looking forward to Siege X, which will probably be out by the time this video comes out, but I'm currently looking forward to it.
I haven't played Siege in a good few years, really, because I liked the first few years, and then it started getting a bit too diverse in the amount of different characters to like different abilities. I was like, I can't keep up with this.
It's
Sorry,
a
anyway.
lot.
Yeah. Well, it started to suffer the I don't want to call it the Ubisoft curse, but just that whole thing where they just keep adding and expanding it to the point where they kind of alienate the original base that loved it and went into it, so that they can.
I'd like just a classic
seek
mode,
the
an optional mode.
monetizations and stuff like that.
I believe
Just
that is referred to as feature creep.
Feature creep. Yep.
Yeah.
There you
I
go.
wish-
Although to be fair to the devs, they said from the beginning they wanted 100 operators.
100.
Like this was the plan the whole time.
They were very transparent with it. But I do feel like I would probably go back to the game more if it did just have a classic mode that was like the original game in year one or something.
Sure.
You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Yeah.
Sure.
I'd probably.
Although
play
the
it
new
again.
mode that they have coming out, pretty sick.
I might check it out again at some point.
Dual
I'd
Front?
like to. I used to. I played hundreds of hours of that. I played hundreds of hours of Elder Scrolls Online too. That's another like a live servicey kind of thing. I mean, it's an MMO, but that I like.
So all that to say, it's not that these things themselves, like microtransactions, live service, any of that, are inherent evils. It's how they're implemented, and
Yeah.
the artistry has to come first. The
Right.
creators, the developers have to be given the room, the space to pour their heart and soul into these things. And whenever there's interference for sake of corporate greed, or even when somebody who isn't, an artist themselves tries to impose on an artist's vision. Do you know what I mean? It's not necessarily that it's coming from a wrong heart or a place of greed, but just not trusting the people that you've hired to do the job.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I got that from I kind of got from Halo Infinite myself. Like the game, I thought the single player was good. The campaign, I thought it was really good. The multiplayer was pretty good too. It was a bit different. I kind of preferred playing Halo, well, not just Halo Reach, the Master Chief Collection myself. But it was like, this is good. This is good stuff. I could have done with a bit more content at release for the multiplayer, but
that was what kind of killed it.
that felt to me, for the most part, like this is good because the game's good. There's some microtransaction-y stuff, but it's not like end of the world. It sucked a bit that comparatively to like older Halo games, the customization was like, well, if you don't spend money, you've got less you can do. But at its core, the game was still
free to
good.
play.
So like exactly, and the game was, that's true. I keep forget about that, but the game was good. So ultimately, it wasn't like a slap to the face kind of thing where it felt like they deliberately designed the whole thing just to squeeze the money from the microtransactions out of you.
Right. Yeah.
But especially if you bought the game, you got a really, really, really good campaign. So
Yeah, the biggest failing with that was they just didn't have enough stuff for you to play and to do for a very long time from when it launched. Like everybody was like, hailing that game and just like saying, praising the hell out of it and just saying that, Halo's back and this is amazing and incredible and stuff. And then you went month by month by month, and it's like
you got nothing.
We still only have like the same 6 maps or whatever it was. Like
that was the problem.
Wasn't even, the gameplay itself was great, but it just took them way too long to get their stuff together with figuring out, how to deliver that to your players.
Hi, Bubbles.
And because it was free to play, it was more difficult for them to do it. Plus, it had, a pretty rocky development situation going on and stuff. Joseph Staten had to come in and, fix a bunch of stuff to begin with. But what I was going to say is, there comes a point so I'm a huge gamer and I love all kinds of different games, and I'm much less particular and much less picky with the kind of games that I'm playing as long as I'm really enjoying myself. And so I, hear the shit talking about, Assassin's Creed games and stuff like that, and they're all, too long and they're padded out and all this stuff. And I think Shadows is great.
Same,
but
I like Shadows.
There's also a point where a certain game comes out that changes everything that came before it, and it shifts things along. And I think Clair Obscur is going to be one of those games.
100%.
It's going to be harder for me to go and play other turn-based games moving forward if they don't have those. And I'm like, wait, I just have to hit the button and sit here and do my attack and then wait for. And it's like, and it's like that with Baldur's Gate 3. Like going back into it, it's like I have to make my turn and right. And it's like I want to be able to now I want to be able to react so that I stay engaged the whole time. And obviously Baldur's Gate 3 is phenomenal, and for the turn-based style of combat that is, I mean it got people who didn't like turn-based combat to play that game, right? And then Clair Obscur got even more people who don't like turn-based combat to play that game because it's even more interactive than Baldur's Gate 3. I mean, a big thing that helps with Baldur's Gate 3 is that it's co-op, that you can bring your friends in.
And that it's D&D.
Right, exactly. Yeah, I mean...
and that it's incredibly well written and incredibly well realized. And
right, it's super engaging, and anything you want to do, you can do. And so there's just all of these, these amazing things, but they've shifted it again. And so it's like, other games that I know that have already been slated to come out this year that I'm less excited for after seeing these shifts. And so it's just interesting the way that the cycle works.
I was a kid
with it
with turn-based stuff. It was always, I don't want to do that. I want to be interacting with the game. I want to be fighting people and I want to be in the zone. And and even a lot of strategy games, it was I don't want to be that. I want to be the foot soldier, and all that stuff.
Mm-hmm.
But as I've got older, especially with games like Clair Obscur and Divinity Original Sin 2, it's this shit's great. And to be fair, XCOM Enemy Unknown was one of the first turn-based games where I was
they're both brilliant.
I was I'm really vibing with this. I fucking love this game. And because I did play turn-based games when I was younger, but it took me a while. But then for example, there was Lord of the Rings: The Third Age on the PS2, and I was game seems cool and it looks cool and great, but I was a kid at the time. It's this is too boring. It's all turn-based. And to be fair, playing it is a lot slower compared to other turn-based games, especially now, because you do just sit here and watch all the animations play out and shit, and it's oh my god, just hurry up. Especially when you get attacked countless fight after countless fight. But I went back to that not long ago and was this game's so freaking good, and I think a part of it is not entirely maturity, but sometimes it's just because you're a kid, you're not into the turn-based stuff. But otherwise, like you were saying, you go back to a slower game now, and it's no, I want to be engaged. I want to be drawn into the game a lot more than just, I don't want to be watching the game. I want to be playing the game. You know what I mean? If that makes sense. Not that I'm dismissing older games, but it just shows what having these little counter things can do for a game, these little interactions. And I know a lot of people knock them off as, it's just another fucking quick time event, but it doesn't feel that way in that game. Not at all. It feels like a core integral part of the game.
So, as great as this conversation has been,
Chrono Trigger.
Well, I have a question that I've kind of been curious to ask, especially after our last few episodes that we've done. Because, we've talked about, there's a few of us in the DAW crew, not myself, who have played through Chrono Trigger before, but obviously, Heidi is the Chrono Trigger super fan. My question is, because we're obviously playing this as a group of voice actors, for you, Heidi, especially for some of the core characters, how are you feeling about like where we've been going and some of the choices we've been making in terms of voices and characters and things like that? Are we on point? Are we way off base? Have you been pleasantly surprised, unpleasantly surprised? Like, I'm just curious from a fan standpoint. I'm sure we'll hear lots in the comments from others as well, especially on the early episodes. But
yeah, I'm pleased. Yeah, there are some things that just like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, but that totally works. So yeah, it's I'm enjoying myself. So yeah.
Yay.
Good.
yeah, like I was just, like I said, I mean, there's been some times like, I mean, a couple of you guys have come in with voices, and I'm just like, oh, that was so fucking perfect. Like, it's just like, I don't know anything about the game, but it's like I'll see that little sprite, and then whatever choices you guys have made, I'm just like, yep, there it is. Like that
I love
that is
that
the
Dalton
sound.
has a singular laugh.
Oh, so good. Yeah, and that honestly, that was one of the ones that, like, as soon as you open your mouth, Jeremy, I was just like, yep, there he is. That's Dalton.
Yeah. I mean, I looked
It was
at the
always
illustration
that.
of him and just was like, okay, I think he's going to be kind of posh and, yeah, hoity-toity sort of.
It works with the hair and the cape.
Yeah, definitely fun.
He's very showboaty.
And I love their animations, like when they're not saying anything, but you can see that they're like laughing. You know, it's just that little. It's like it's really hard to resist, like just doing it. You know, like imitating it while I'm watching
Kind
and
of,
stuff. It's just
which
like,
kind of
that'll be
helps because it
annoying.
adds some pre-life to things too, as well. Because you want to do it, so you do it, and that adds. It's like an encouragement, like. It's an encouragement to add those little things that we want, those non-verbal things in this sort of stuff that bring some the authenticity. So when you see the character sprite laughing, but there's no words on the screen, it's like you want to laugh, so you do it, and and then it feeds into the next line, and it's great. Yeah.
I love the artwork. It's so cool.
I've got to say, sorry, go on.
Oh, I was just saying, I love the artwork. It's so cool. That's it.
I was just gonna say Corey knocked me out when he fucking decided to give the kid the really deep.
That was so funny.
I was like, what?
That was so funny.
Like, this kid's
anyway,
creepy.
I speak like
yes,
this.
He's prophesying.
Prophesying. You know what it reminds me of? Do you remember, like, I think it's Men in Black 2. I think it's Men in Black 2. No, it might be the first one actually, where like he grabs, he's like something's happening to the guy, and he's like all of a sudden talking to him, and he's like, "You might as well go home," and all that stuff. You know, he's like, he's just like as soon as the alien comes out, it's just really just different voice.
Like what?
Yeah.
Didn't expect that. Yeah. It's
been great. Where we've taken some of the burden off of Heidi having to always have conversations with herself with the addition of Paige to the cast.
Yay!
Yeah.
I really like your mom.
I did notice that Reese had quite a bit of conversation with himself.
Reese still talks to himself quite a bit, but you know.
The other day, Jeremy had some conversations with himself as Ozzy, the King, and Cyrus, and then Reese with Melchior and Frog. How does that feel for you guys when that happens?
I do it all the fucking time. I don't care.
Right.
Yeah, I was gonna say you're used to it on your Twitch stream.
Always talking to himself.
Well, as you saw with when I did the King, I couldn't remember how to do the King at all because I had done the Cyrus voice, and I was like, "Oh crap, I'm the King too." I don't think that's how it sounded, but whatever. So it wasn't back and forth enough. I will say it was super easy with Ozzy and Cyrus because those characters are so vastly different from each other.
Yeah.
So when you make choices like that, it definitely makes it a lot easier because you're sticking. It's so on the opposite end of the spectrum with the voices that that's not a challenge at all.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, there's a little bit of a challenge, but it didn't trip me up, I guess is what I should say.
Like it's easier to flip to opposite sides of the spectrum than to like be like do something right next to each other and make them sound distinct.
In other, earlier episodes, I did run into that issue where I can't remember which characters they were. I'll have to go back and look, obviously. But they were so very close to each other that I think I kind of ended up doing pretty much the same voice for both of them, and I was like, oh, that was confusing.
I think that's why
Yeah,
I
I think
always
we
try to
should.
make some like swing for the fences kind of choice with like every voice I create. Because
Yeah.
I'm just trying to give myself as much room to go someplace else as humanly possible.
Yeah, and with the like with the NPC characters, like just the randoms and stuff, that's a great idea to experiment. And it's like Lawrence was talking about. I think it was before we started recording, but just the challenge of coming up with all of these different characters and not sounding so samey with all of it. And so I mean, this is even just a great way to really, practice our craft and learn how better to create characters that are so different from each other, even if it's just a small, silly little part and stuff like that. And I think that's something that is it's just a good idea to implement that when possible. Yeah.
I think it was because I was talking about Balthazar and all that, and how I wanted to be careful not to make him sound like the Chancellor guy or whatever his name was.
Right.
So I was like, I want to make this guy sound less comical and more grounded and more, just like, not just an exaggerated old man with some sort of wacky wizard ego kind of thing going on. I wanted to, yeah. So it was like finding that balance and stuff. And then for some reason, like I was just laughing about it because Jeremy was like, "Was that Attenborough?" I was like, "Well, that's not what I'm going for," but it came out like that.
Yeah, it was totally
Yeah.
good times. All right.
Yeah.
Well, I think that's a good place to call it.
Yeah.
I disagree.
Unless
You always
you
disagree.
had something else you wanted to.
No, I don't. I just disagree.
This is
only
already the longest post show.
Yeah, by far.
4.5 hour post show. Thanks for sticking around, all three of you.
All right. So yeah, this is a question for afterward, but yeah, we're like, where are we cutting it actually?
I think we'll cut it right now. Thanks for hanging out. Like, share, subscribe, join our Discord. Like, share, subscribe, Discord. Shit's in the description below and whatever. I'll be back.
No, what we do is we just cut it mid-sentence.